I love reacting to top 10 lists on the channel because it's always interesting to see the way that either individuals or publications form their lists, whether it's on skill or whether it's on impact or whether you're judging albums, artists, or even album covers. So in today's list, guys, we're going to go over some of the worst lists that we've ever seen. And I think that this is interesting because I have one of these lists that I kind of disagree with you about.
Yeah, there is one that we don't see eye to eye on. But guys, let us know which one do you think is the worst list, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. So let's get started with the first one. And by the way, a lot of these come to us from like respected publications, which makes things even wilder. But the first one comes to us from Uprocks for their top 10 rap albums up to the 2010s. And I mean, listen, what's interesting the most to me about this list is the fact that all of these albums are great. But none of them, besides one or two max, deserve to be on this fucking list.
Absolutely. Okay, so listen. Swimming by Mac Miller deserves to stay here. That's an absolute lock. But once you start getting to Drake, what if you're reading this, it's too late. At number one, I could go over two other Drake albums that I feel like should be over this one in this list. Example, A Nothing Was the Same or A Take Care. Even going on to Kendrick. Having Section 80 on this list is low-key a big criminal because it's not the point of Section 80 making the list, but you have two other albums that should be included in front of it. Then, listen, if you wanted to include all three in a top 10 list, fine, go ahead. But you have to have the other two in this equation. I don't even
think I would put Section 80 in like any top 10 list regardless. But yes, Good Kid, Mad City, and Intimate Butterfly should have been there first. And that's kind of the narrative for almost every artist that's featured here, is that they have a better album than the one that was put on this list. For Kanye, Where's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy? Like, that's a staple, bro, for the 2010s. And instead, they put The Life of Pablo, which is a bit messier and has a couple of skips. You look at something like Barter 6 by Young Thug. That one makes sense for being Thug's best, but shouldn't be on this list.
It shouldn't be top three.
No.
Like, I could maybe see it going like late in the top 10. Like, I would still question you heavy on it, but I still do feel like there's a lot of other trap projects in front of there.
Going back to If You're Reading This Is Too Late, I get it. It's Drake's maybe most thrilling, most passionate rap album, but is it really better than a Daytona or an Atrocity Exhibition or maybe a Piñata? Like, those albums are way more distinct and unique, I feel like, and did more to kind of define a certain time period within the 2010s than If You're Reading This Is Too Late. So I don't know how valid that one is. Going to Cause I Love You by Lizzo, not entirely a rap album. And when it comes to the rapping elements of that album, they're not that great.
No, they aren't that great. Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Like, it's more pop rap, and it doesn't necessarily fit here. Listen, even Eve by Rhapsody, I do prefer Layla's Wisdom, but I mean, are you really going to be including that? But I mean, like, that's a fair placement for it if you did have it in your top 10. Like, I would question you, but I would still be like, okay, that's an original choice.
Also,
you know?
like we were talking about earlier, like, Kendrick's wasn't even the best Future album of 2017, and it ends up being placed there at number 5.
A lot of people would argue that it is, though. A lot of people love
it's a great album, bro.
Yeah, it is. But even it's not even like the most rap album out of the two that he dropped that year. I think that's maybe more of like the fault of this. But I mean, listen, regardless, I do think that Hendrix should not be on this. Something like a DS2 would be acceptable for this list. But let's go on to the next one, Lou.
Consequence of Sound's top 10 Kendrick Lamar songs. And this is pretty funny because at first glance, I just thought, I'm like, okay, this list was made by the mans who heard Kendrick once at a house party, or like literally only heard him on the radio, bro, and nowhere else. Because you have Humble, you have DNA, you have All Right. You literally have the guy's biggest 4 hits, you could argue, in the top 4.
Yeah, and I think that All Right is acceptable at that number 1 position, especially for the social impact and the movement that it created and how important the song means. And even at that, the production is absolutely flawless. Flawless rapping from Kendrick.
Yes.
Flawless hook. Like, it could be considered at number 1. But DNA at 2, I mean, listen, I like DNA, and I think that on a technicality standpoint, it is perfect. But does it really deserve to be in that top 3? Even something like a Humble, let's say. Okay, I get it. It's his most streamed song. It's massive for him. But having Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst at 10, and then taking this and putting it into the top 3, I think is criminal.
Not only that, but I feel like by putting Humble at number 3, you're making a statement that like Kendrick Lamar's most, I would say, hook-heavy song should be in a top 3 when the meat of Kendrick's music is all about the verses. It's all about the storytelling. It's about the journey he takes you on with his writing.
How much a dollar cost, or the art of peer pressure. Like, you have to have those in there. Even Duckworth. Like, tell me Duckworth over Humble. Come on.
And Sing About Me.
Fear's not even on this list.
To me, this is fucking insulting to have Sing About Me at number 10. Like, at that point, don't even include it. It's like, it just creeped in there. We had to put it at number 10. We had to include it
because we knew the nerds were going to be mad about it, you know? But listen, I think everyone's mad about it. But yeah, this one's really faulty. Even Swimming Pools. Like, like, I can name you 3 other songs on the album that should be in front of this, bro.
Absolutely. A backseat freestyle, I get it. It's original. It's a freestyle by Kendrick. He's very loose in terms of his delivery. It's a fun song, but it's nowhere near his top 10, bro.
Do you keep ADHD in there? That's a cute one.
ADHD is...
It's a cute one.
I mean, that was like my intro to Kendrick, so it's hard to say goodbye, but like, fuck it, bro. If we're going to put all the bias aside, it should not be here. Untitled 03, love the different perspectives and the advice that Kendrick is getting from people from different cultures. That was cool, but again, throw an Untitled 02 or 07 or 08 before that one.
And why even include anything untitled, low key? Like, I mean, it is a fantastic listen, but it's Lucy's at the end of the day that weren't even supposed to come out. So I think that this is definitely flawed. Baloo, go on to the next one.
The next list is actually Billboard's top 10 album covers of all time, and this is one that we actually did not see eye to eye on because you're like, well, these are all merited, and I said, fuck it, bro. We have to put it in. Number 10, the Elvis one is kind of basic and boring, but the most shocking one is a fucking banana being placed as the best album of all time, bro.
What was the explanation for this?
The explanation for this was apparently there's a backstory where written next to the banana, you'll see peel slowly and see, and if you would like actually peel off the sticker, because on the actual physical vinyl, you could peel off the sticker at the tip of the banana, there would be a human flesh colored banana. So you know what they tried to make that look like, and I guess it was it was kind of a joke on their end. But what's funny is that this is a collector's item that's worth like $1,000, bro.
That's hilarious.
But
no, definitely not.
Come
but
on,
okay,
bro.
listen. All right.
Number one,
Abbey Road by the Beatles has to be on this list.
You literally have the Beatles stopping traffic for eternity, bro. Like, awesome.
Like, it's
awesome
absolutely
cover.
no. This is like an iconic and influential cover. Even like
Horses by Patti Smith. No.
Okay, the explanation behind this one is that the photographer feels like this was the greatest picture ever taken of a woman just because of the placement and the black and white color. And Patti Smith is fucking iconic. I don't want to hear any comments about
I don't care if she's iconic. That's not going to make the album cover nice. Like, it's boring. It's bland. It's a black and white photograph. There's nothing that it offers me, bro. Like, it's not visually stimulating in any way,
I wouldn't
shape,
have
or
it in
form.
my top 10, but it's still an iconic cover. Okay,
Bad
listen,
pick.
Ready to Die deserves to be in here for sure. This is one of the most iconic of all time. Why didn't
But here's the problem: is that we're using the word iconic too much, bro. This is supposed to be
covers
the
have
best
to be
album covers. They have to have this artistic
but we're not art
gravitas.
connoisseurs. Like, I'm not looking at the line structures and the
but
colors
like
used. I'm
Graduation.
going to choose this.
Graduation, Takashi Murakami. Like, that is an album cover that just pulls your eyes out of your head, bro. That's what I'm looking for.
Listen, I'm still taking Dark Side of the Moon over that, bro, any day of the week.
Dark Side of the Moon. Led Zeppelin by Led Zeppelin. I get the whole mothership thing. It's cool.
You have to. And you're a Led Zeppelin fan. What are you doing here?
It's one of the best rock albums
Your brother
ever.
would slap you. Your brother would slap you.
I know. It's one of the best rock albums ever. I do not think it's one of the best album covers ever. I would even maybe put something like Led Zeppelin 4 or 3 over this as a cover.
That's interesting, but okay.
Next up, Nevermind by Nirvana. I mean, you know,
the baby chasing
you got
the cat.
A naked baby in the pool chasing a dollar bill. Like, I get it. The whole concept of we're always chasing money from birth. Cool concept, but I don't want to be looking at that every day and every time I want to listen to like Smells Like Teen Spirit. You know what I mean?
I know, but the thing is that even like the cover itself is, I keep going to iconic, but this is one of the most recognized album covers of all time.
But that's not the point of the list.
And it has such an important message behind it. But I do agree. Aesthetically speaking, I definitely would go elsewhere. She's So Unusual by Cyndi Lauper. Like, I agree with you. I don't think this should be included. But again, Cyndi Lauper, another legend in music, and you can't really criticize anything she's done. Fear of a Black Planet by Public Enemy. This one's hard as fuck, bro. This one's cool.
It just, like, for a futuristic album cover, it just seems kind of aged. Like, it's kind of like, it seems dated to me now. You have like
that's what's so cool about it. You have like
the Star Wars-esque font for Fear of a Black Planet, and apparently a NASA illustrator actually designed this, which is a cool fact. But it seems too like old for something that's supposed to be futuristic and revolutionary in sorts. And the Elvis one is just bland to me as well, bro.
Harsh on the Legends
I do like
today.
the color palette of the pink and green, though.
Harsh on the Legends today. You're coming with full smoke, eh? You really want to bring this one in.
I'm just being honest with you, brother. Let's keep on going, though. The next list actually comes to us from Soul and Stereo, and it is the top 10 worst rappers of all time.
This one's
Number
bad.
10, Eazy-E. Number 9, Master P.
Okay, can we stop? I want to stop you at the Eazy-E.
Yeah.
Why? Like, what's going on with Eazy-E on this list? I've seen too many like worst rappers lists with like Eazy-E, and I don't get it. I don't understand why he's being included. his legacy is absolutely untouchable. What he did with NWA, and for the West Coast area of the United States for hip hop will never be done again.
He's literally like
a pioneer.
the OG gangster rap, and the reason for that is that he was actually like in the streets. Like he went from the streets to the booth. He had the story and the authenticity to back him up as an MC, and I also feel like his track presence, bro, like he had ultimate charisma. I get it. Ice Cube and other people wrote all of his stuff. Whatever. It's chill. But he's not a top 10 worst rapper of all time. He is a founding father of one of the most prominent subgenres of hip hop.
Yeah,
so
and I don't
just
understand
insulting,
that.
bro. And why does he always make these lists, bro? It's
I don't
fucking
understand.
baffling to me. Silk the Shocker, Master P, their usuals for these kinds of lists. Don't really get it. Number 7, Big Sean.
This one's insulting to Big Sean. Listen, and you give a lot of slack to Big Sean. I give a lot of slack to Big Sean because he does have some inconsistency issues sometimes with the music.
He does not deserve to be in that list of the best rappers of the 2010s like a lot of people put him into. But that being said, if you know Big Sean, you know this guy came from battle rapping in high school to getting signed to Ye to giving us amazing fucking rap verses like Detroit versus Everybody, like Control, like Deep Reverence, like so many others, and yet people are still putting him into these conversations.
No,
like,
it doesn't make sense.
man's got bars.
No, yeah, he's really on a different level of quality when he wants to be. Example, Dark Sky Paradise, Detroit, I Decided. Even Detroit 2 in this decade was really nice. And I think that, yeah, he has his misses, but to put him in these types of lists is absolutely insulting. If Big Sean's here, a lot of other people deserve to be there as well. But the ones that are absolutely baffling are Chief Keef and Young Thug. Listen, I understand the whole old head mentality. Oh, I can't hear what he's saying, so I can't get invested into the catalog. Shut up. Like stop listening if you're not going to be able to do it. To say that Young Thug doesn't have any substance and to be like, oh, well, he doesn't offer anything. What does that even mean?
It means that these people like cut off their ears and just fucking threw them in a hole, bro. Like they're not able to adapt to the new sound of the genre. That's what it is.
Listen, I will give Young Thug this. He does have a hard sound to get accustomed to.
Yes.
But the thing is that once you understand
once it clicks,
it'll never unclick. He is literally one of the best vocalists hip hop has ever seen. I'm dead ass about that, and I can make that argument.
Absolutely.
There's people that put him in some list for the most influential of all time, especially for this newer generation.
Yeah.
And speaking about influential, why is Chief Keef here? Why the fuck is Chief Keef here? Did he not drop Finally Rich? Did he not create a whole different lane with drill? Has he not been consistent since the age of 16? I don't know why you would include him in a top 5 list for the worst albums, worst rappers of all time.
It's pretty fucked up to have him here, bro. Like, as a hip-hop fan, like, it's just... It hurts, bro. And like even seeing Soulja Boy as the worst rapper of all time and number 1 on this list, I mean, one of the most influential rappers in a lot of ways. I mean, he had YouTube's first viral music video for hip hop. He showed people, the effects of attaching a viral dance to your song and what that could do for you. I mean, think about ringtone culture and what Soulja Boy did also. Not only that, but I mean, you go to like Soulja Boy's even recent stuff, besides all the jams he had, like Kiss Me Through the Phone and whatever else, like even his recent music, it's not that bad, bro.
It's not
I'm not saying he's Black Thought or Jay Electronica, but the guy is not one of the worst rappers of all time.
Not only that,
throw in Lil Dicky in there.
Throw in a little Xan, throw in a 6ix9ine.
Right?
Like there's guys that don't even take themselves seriously that are not on this list. So I think that, yeah, this one definitely has to be revised. And this is probably the worst list I have seen today. But let me know in the comment section, how do you feel about this one in particular?
Absolutely. Next up, though, we have Stereo Gum's top 10 rap albums of 2022. And I think that, like, as a rap fan, someone that follows the releases month to month throughout an entire year, when you're looking at last year and how much quality there was, you look at this list and you're like, I don't even recognize half of these albums.
I will give them W's for a Sick or even something like the Elephant Man's Bones.
Yes.
The only thing, though, is that these are not like, at least in my opinion, top 5 album of the year caliber.
The Elephant Man's Bones, I could see the argument. Like Rock Marciano, bro.
But I'm still putting a Drill Music in Zion and a Cheat Codes in front of that if you want to get into the super lyrical stuff. If you want to talk about, let's say, something like Sick by Old Sweatshirt, there was better concept albums that year. Look at a Melt My Eyes to Your Future. Look at, let's say, something like The Forever Story. Look at a Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. There was albums in there that deserve to be over this one. Even something like A Foreign by Chief Keef. This dropped in 2021, and I get it. It was at the latter half of the year. They felt like they needed to include it, but why include it when you didn't have a shortage of great trap albums that year? Go to Heroes and Villains. That needs to be slaughtered in here if you were to do their list a bit later.
Yeah.
So I don't know where
they did put me on to one album, which was HH5 by CEO Trail. Not deserving to be number 1, but that's a fucking hard album. If you guys haven't heard that, check it out. But The one that kind of pissed me off was 3800 Degrees by YB. And I know that YB has not been getting a lot of praise for his recent efforts. This one is better than some of the recent ones because it's more concise. It's 13 songs. He's actually, spitting at times, but you still have these kind of disjointed verses, a lot of like jumbled up rhymes that
There's
don't
no
really make
cohesion
sense.
to the project. I think that those
offbeat rapping, like certain elements that don't make for a good album experience.
But the thing is that for a good album experience, the technicalities have to be on point to a certain extent, and I think that was maybe a bit neglected when
He's
looking at
always
this.
rushing his raps, bro. Like that's a consistency within every YB album, and just him as an MC, I feel like. But that one, really did not deserve to be there. And this whole list is a bit jaw dropping. Like Face by Babyface Ray, cool album. Not over King's Disease 3.
No, absolutely not.
Right?
All right, do we got anything else for
We
Taylor?
got one more list, and this is actually Rap TV's list for the top 10 best lyrics ever spit. And where do you want to start with this? I mean, number one,
The Mom Spaghetti.
Bro.
That's classic, okay? This is the problem with the list. If you were to, let's say, label this the most iconic or most memorable lyrics of all time, yes, obviously, like, you could really put this here. The most icon, whatever you want to call it, right? But these are the best bars ever spat. There has to be a certain standard of penmanship when you're looking at this sort of stuff. So example, looking at his palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, there's vomit on his sweater already, Mom Spaghetti. Like, those are elementary, like, level bars,
Yeah.
And like, it's all pop attempts on this list.
it is pop attempts. I think that's what they tried to do here is really choose lyrics that everybody has memorized, that everyone is familiar with. Like they went with a super safe route. But what's crazy to me is like when I think of the best lyrics ever spit, I'm thinking about lyrics from songs like Exhibit C. You know what I mean? Like I'm not looking at this list and thinking, wow, these are mind blowing.
Yeah, or
I'm
going
looking
to
at
a
this
mural
list
or
and being like,
something.
oh, well, this was a hot hook.
You know
This
what
was
I'm
a
trying-
hook that everyone knows. Like that was the approach, and it just doesn't fit sort of the way they presented the list out to be. Like name this something else.
Example, okay, let's go on to Jay-Z with 99 Problems. I do agree, but like that was done before by Ice-T. That's just an interpolation example.
Yeah.
If you want to go on to an original lyric from Jay-Z, go to the Jackie Robinson bar and really dissect that. That's an incredible lyric. Or even something like Real G's Move in Silence Like Lasagna. I get it. It's fucking hard. I love the bars. 6'7" will forever be one of my favorite Lil Wayne songs. Bro, go through the Drought 3 and you'll find like
Way
song,
better.
yeah, song after song. It doesn't even
The
compare.
Tupac one, though, is great. You know what's funny? When it rains, it pours. They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor.
That was valid.
That was very valid.
I never sleep because sleep is the cousin of death.
Valid.
By Nas on that's valid as well. So there are certain ones that could fit this list, but it's lacking all over the place. Even last name ever, first name greatest, like a sprained ankle, boy, I ain't nothing to play with. Like this is something that gets you hyped at a party or that lets you want to go back into a track. This is not something that you have to put glasses on and intricately like dissect to be able to understand the meaning of.
Yeah, and I mean, Drake has so many better bars all throughout his catalog. I mean, looking at like the Royal Flush bar off of like the Family Feud remix from Lil Wayne, like there's countless Drizzy bars. So like to me, it almost downplays what these artists are capable of in terms of forming like great lyrics and great couplets. So it's a bit unnerving to me as a hip hop fan to go through these and be like, wow, these are fucking incredible.
Even if you want to go to Kendrick, like Poetic Justice is more of like one of the more accessible tracks for people and doesn't have the most complex writing. And I understand the messaging behind this lyric, but go on to something like go to a song like Nostalgia and go through that second verse. I mean, what do you want? what do you want? It's there. You get what I'm trying to say? So I do feel like this list is lacking, but Rap TV caught some W's, though. I will give them that. But guys, listen, thank you so much for coming into the episode today. We want to do a part 2 of this. So what's the worst top 10 list you've ever seen? Drop it down in the comment section, and we might use it for a future video. And listen, guys, we just launched our new playlists on Spotify and Apple. If you guys want to access them, the links are in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and we'll catch you in the next one.